Hey guys, welcome to Jerry's Live. As always, I am your stay-at-home host, Amy Gardner-Dean. We are doing JL 149. We're having fun with watercolor pencils, and we're going to be making a colorful postcard with them that will be with a cute little kit that I'll show you. And we're going to be sending that watercolor postcard to one of you lucky viewers that comments. So we'll just take all the comments after the show is done, that we're done live, and somebody will get the postcard. And actually, I realized I've got two of this set here. So I think I'm just gonna send in a little box the postcard and this whole set of stuff, because that would be really fun. And then you'll just have to make your own colorful postcard. So we are using a set that is the Cezanne colored pencils. It's a cute little travel set of 24. It's got a little tin of watercolor postcards, like 24 watercolor postcards. That's perfect for traveling. And it also has a set of crystal seal bags with that. So if you do the artwork on the postcards and love it and want to preserve it and keep it nice, or even, put a little piece of cardboard backing in there and then sell it, it's perfect for sealing all those postcards that you had. So, so it's a very inexpensive, fun little set. If you're interested in looking at any of those items that we're going to show with that, you will go to the jerrysartorama.com website. You'll type in the keyword, it's JL149, that's L149. That will bring up the little set and all the fun that it has in it. And it's something perfect for just on the go. I think the set is less than $30. Nice, fun little set. So we're going to just sit and enjoy, trying to create something that's fun that you can send somebody else. This is the perfect kind of thing that for being home, having to kind of be under these stay-home orders, to create a joyous, kind of fun, sunshiny thing. Back to kind of writing letters and people getting like a really, besides just something from you, it's an experience. We don't get fun mail anymore. It's only ever bills, right? So that's what we're going to do today. And JL149 means that next week is our 150th episode. So that's a little crazy. And that will be with the kind of sister component to these colored pencils. Cezanne, we've formerly used a set of 72. They have come out with a new formulation and an entire set of 120 pencils. They're all numbered. So we will look at those next week, and we will do a small still life with those. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing this week. So I will turn this around so you can see that. Now, if you've not joined a Jerry's Live with us under these stay-home orders, I will try to. We've worked on trying to autofocus the camera, so we'll see if that works with me trying to do it myself. This is not like a fancy film camera like we've got at the studio, where we've got a boom mic and we've got 3 professional film cameras, and we can switch from thing to thing. This is just an iPhone and me, who's appreciates the technological advancement and the knowledge of the Burning Oats team every day since we started doing this at home. So it's just that and a little clamp-on tripod that I've got kind of that hangs over the table. So sometimes it might get fuzzy when we're having focus issues. Sometimes the sound is not amazing. Sometimes you'll hear a sulfur-crested cockatoo named April in the background screaming. She was an art critic in a former life and really has her own ideas about things that go on, especially when it means that her classic rock music gets turned off to film this. So just so you know, and I think a few people have been able to see April. I know Sunday we set up and we painted next to April, so everybody saw April then. And we've got dogs, because it's Crazy Dane Studios, which means Danes and pointers are sometimes will sing. So just beware. Okay, let's turn this around and we will try this. Now, I do have a screen set up with my iPad where I will try to monitor questions as they go. If anything is pressing and I've missed it, Katie will text me and let me know. We will have our contest winners at the end of the show today for kind of our last ditch kind of contest. We've done several weeks of thanking the first responders and first responders, doctors, nurses, anybody on the front lines, people that deliver food, people that take orders, just people that are still working despite all this to make sure kind of society is still running and our needs are being met. So we've got 3 winners today that we'll announce at the end of the show. Those are going to receive, there's a $500, a $250, and a $100 e-gift card. So we'll announce those, but this is last week that we were running that, and those winners have been selected. So, and I think that we've got them texted, so I should be able to show them to you at the end of the show. So let's flip this around, and we will get to have a little bit of fun with this postcard, and then somebody will be able to get it, and we will we'll announce tomorrow, let's say by noon, in the Jerry's Live Facebook group, who this little kind of prize pack of fun will come to. Okay, so let me flip this around. All right, and the sound should be better this time because we're doing it right. I'll be right kind of under the camera. All right, so I think we've got it there. All right, let me kind of focus on an area here, and then we'll pull this stuff over. All right, so this is this adorable set that I'm talking about. You get a little tin of watercolors. Comes all sealed, ready to go. You can slip it right in a little travel bag. There is a crystal seal bag pack. there's 24 cards, 25 bags in case you would want to seal these and keep them just for, either keepsakes or to give someone as a gift or to sell. So it gives you bags to keep those waterproofed and safe when working. And then this set is 24 colors, professional watercolor pencils. It comes with everything you need to be able to work on the fly. It's almost like a little wallet, so it's super easy to use. It's got a little golden Taklon watercolor brush. So you've got 24 colors with kind of almost your palette here, so you can see those really easily while you're working. And you can just pop those out. They work great dry or wet. This is a postcard that I did so you could see half dry, which is still actually very pretty, and then half wet, which really pulls out that vibrancy. But it's a nice 140-pound watercolor cardstock. It's got your address in there, your place to write, so it's all ready to go to mail out. So it's a really nice, durable little piece of watercolor paper that would go through the mail really easily. So this is what we're going to be doing. And I brought back a picture that we've used in the past that everybody liked, I think, for a composition episode. So just for something kind of fun, we've got let me see how I've got this in the frame. We've got our old antique truck. The colors that are in this set, I really think, because you could use kind of dry and wet, that would be really fun. So we're going to work with that. I'm going to close this up, and this will go to the lucky contestant. Set those off to the side. Okay, so I'm going to put the watercolor pencils like that so you guys can see them. Got my little tin here of extra watercolor cards, so you can see lots and lots of them. 2 dozen. You could go on a trip and do a scene every day for a long time. If you're going on a 24-day trip, I envy you. All right. So I've got my little card here. I'm just making sure everything fits in my camera angle here. I think I'm going to turn these this way so you guys can see them. It looks like we've got everything in. Okay. All right. I'll move this down just a touch. All right. And if anybody has any questions, again, you should be able to ask them here while we're going on. All right. So we're just going to do this fun little truck. Let me see if I can focus in on that. There, that looks better. All right. So hopefully that will knock that autofocus out of whack. All right. So to do this, I'm just going to start with kind of a very light color. I think I might choose kind of this natural looking kind of it's almost like a yellow ochreish color. This doesn't have to be perfect. This is something where we're doing this to send somebody some fun and some cheer. So I'm just going to get started on kind of ghosting this in. And obviously our picture is more rounded or kind of, larger format than what we've got going on with this. So I'm just going to extend that on. I'm drawing very lightly because I don't want this to be too heavy, because remember, this is watercolor, so anywhere you're putting that color is going to leave that color for when we use the brush over it. So I want it to be very light, just so I've got enough of drawing that I can see, but not kind of overwhelm that color once we get going. So I'm just checking to see. It's still not really in focus, so let me see if I can. I think that's the best that it's going to do. Okay. Has everybody been being creative with their time at home, guys? Is there anything anybody's done that they were just like really excited about that they'd like to talk about while we're working on this? You guys can have a conversation amongst yourselves about fun things that you've worked on or all that. I know that this actually is the day that we were supposed to be at the Pointer Nationals with the dogs, and that of course did not happen, as pretty much everything everybody's had is not happening. But I would not have been here with you guys today. I would have been off showing Waldo and Charlie, and would have been picking up my two new pointer girls from there that are in Massachusetts. So that did not happen either. I've got to figure out how we're going to eventually get them down here without kind of dealing with being out in unsafe situations. So, okay, I'm going to make this land lower. That's kind of off that hill, and I'm not going to worry about putting this other vehicle in there. I want to make that lower so I've got kind of a little bit different vantage point. And like I said, April definitely has her own view of, she can't see what I'm doing over here, but she'll tell you what she thinks of it. Okay. Alright, so we've kind of got that ghosted in. Again, this is not picking up well. Let me see if I can kind of... I don't know. I think it's not going to do it since it's not... It's seeing the conversation instead of that, so... Although it looks good here. It may just be my iPad with the bandwidth on it. There we we go. Okay. All right. So it's very light, so it may be hard for you guys to see, but as we put color in, I think it will make a difference. I'm going to keep that there so I kind of know where it is. Let's start with a blue sky. Kind of pop that in there. I'm looking to see if, excuse me for a minute, got a little stick eraser. Made that land come up a little high. It's a good test for this to see if, yeah, the watercolor pencil erases pretty nicely. All right, so let's get our blue sky in. With this, I'm just going to use kind of a light touch. I'm going to go ahead and draw in where I want my clouds to kind of go, just so I can kind of see where they stop so I don't draw over them. And again, I'm not really worried about this looking exact because this is just to get a cheerful little card done. Send this right over here to this. And the beauty of this being watercolor is you don't have to necessarily worry about that line work. You can make the lines disappear as long as you're not pushing them on really hard, pushing onto paper, kind of denting it in. Once this is wet down, you'll really be able to see the color and make it as kind of liquidy of a medium as you want, and then you can go back in with that pencil dry once the paper's dry, and if you want to get kind of some line work in there, you can, or you can choose to, you can see with this one, you can still see kind of that line work that's there. Where I drew the color on, you can really see that because I went very slowly and very carefully with that little watercolor brush. So it's up to you. You can decide kind of how you want to do it. You can see those lines really easily there, you know, where you can really wash it out like I've done here, or you can kind of keep that line work there with you. So I'm just going to kind of do this. You can kind of see how nice this does. And this is a little bluer than the sky that's there, but it's fine. Tina sends me beautiful shots every day out from Wyoming, and the skies are always so blue, and I'm so jealous because I love those gorgeous, gorgeous blue skies. So we're going to use that pretty blue. All right, so we've got that in there. It's really pale, but I guarantee you once we put that color on, it will light it up. Okay, so once this is drawn, we can do the water, or we can do it in stages. The biggest, and you could wet the pencil down and put it on if you wanted, or you could kind of wet as you go. But the problem is with wetting as you go is that if you want a little bit better control and this to look a little, you know, a little more kind of fine lined and finished, it's better just to kind of do this first. You can build color layers because just like with this pear, I saw somebody ask about, I'm not sure who, about if you can layer the color. All these were layered. This is multiple layers of greens around that pear, and then you can see that they blend together. Just like watercolor, once it's wet, the colors will blend together. With this, as pencils, it's dry, you know, and you're just kind of layering color, but it blends as it gets wet. Okay, so let's kind of sketch a little bit. I'm going to do some of the color, I'm going to do kind of a basic color coming down the mountain. of what that would be. So you guys can kind of see. And then I'll go back in and stick those bushes in. And again, this set is, if you're curious about seeing kind of what's in it, and you know, it's just those 3 items. There's a watercolor brush in it, so you don't even have to worry about getting a brush if you don't have any. And it's the perfect size for something this small. So this is, you can see it at our website. It's if you go to the jerrysartorama.com website, type in the keyword JL149. This will pull this up. Okay. All right, and I'm going to put that kind of through that window there. Okay. All right, so really quick to go in and make kind of that dark background of that. Since we've got our down here, got the black. This would be where I would use black with kind of like a little water pencil painting. I'm going to go ahead and kind of outline this so you guys can see easier, because it's harder to see on the okay, this is kind of that interior roof of the car. Okay, this comes up like that. And we'll be able to keep that outline as long as we're really careful when we go to wet this and kind of use bigger washes in larger areas and kind of go over that very lightly with a drier brush as we go. Now, if I was doing this for me, just to not do quickly to get this done for you guys, would probably go a lot slower with these lines and do line work, where this is kind of more, I'm just coloring it in with the color. Okay. This has kind of this edge of the chrome right there on this windowsill, kind of. Right, this comes from out here. Let's see if anybody's got any questions. Yeah, Kathy, I'm sorry. I know it's going in and out. Some of it is the bandwidth. There's a lot of people on Facebook this time of night. The camera has been set to stay on it, but again, it's just kind of the wear and tear that Facebook can kind of take with as many people as are on. I think it's better than it's been. Especially since we're doing something pretty small. Okay, this is going to be that kind of shadow from the hood of this old car. There's some, I'm not sure what up here, like a little insignia or something, so we're going to kind of put that on there. Alright, now we're light here. big piece in here that's kind of where the bulb's been popped right out of the socket. Put my reading glasses on. Maria asked, can the sleeves be bought separately? Crystal Seal bags are on their own page on the website. Katie might be able to get you that link. Otherwise, Crystal Seal is spelled with a K, Crystal Seal. And that will, if you just put Crystal Seal in the, 2 words, Crystal and Seal, in the search box, that will pull it up. And there's all sorts of sizes, so down to little bitty bitty teeny tiny like business card size. The photo is actually off of pixabay.com. So I just put in antique cars on Pixabay. It is a free use website, copyright free website that you can download images from to actually see and use online, practice with. It has lots and lots of anything you can think of. Now you do want to set it on photos because there's everything from vectors to illustrations to all that stuff. So if you set that as such, you'll come up with all sorts of really cool photos for that. And that's where we got this from. And we used it on a prior show, but it was a really fun, cool kind of picture. So I decided we would break it out and use it again. And I did color over this part here because I couldn't see it. So let's kind of see if we can get that color out first. Oh, Katie said that there's apparently some mic static, so let me pull it out. Just a second, it's gonna get wiggly for a second. All right, we'll see if that's maybe a little bit better. Okay. All right, so now I'm just kind of working on a little bit of shadow around here. We'll get some other colors in here. There's a little crease kind of right here. Let's get this side outlined. Hopefully that's better. There's somebody asked if there was something they were curious about what's the special use of the Crystal Seal bags. That's just, Monica, if this is something where you maybe want to do these and sell them individually as little works of art, it keeps them from being handled like with anytime you're picking these up and touching them, you're putting oil on from your hands, right? So it's something where if you want to keep these separate and nice and clean and pristine to sell them later, you can put them in those bags. If you're going to put them through the mail, don't worry about it. That's irrelevant. But it's just so, people do these. They go on vacation. They do a whole bunch of these little pieces of artwork, and then they might sell them, and people will buy them and collect their little postcards. So it's a way of, once it's done, if you're not mailing it and you're going to use it actually as art, you can keep it and
keep it, where it's much safer because of it. So that's the reason they put the crystal seal bags in, is to give you that option for finished pieces of art. Now I understand most of us probably aren't going to be wanting to keep and sell these things or whatever. This is something that's enjoyable. You can send things to friends for fun. And especially this time of kind of with what's going on, this is the perfect time for, these fun little items like this, in that you're still doing art and you're getting involved. You could sit and binge watch, Netflix or whatever, and do some postcards from, pictures you find on Pixabay or, whatever, but you can send mail to your friends. So you're getting some art done while you're relaxing. It's a win-win for everybody, right? So it's just a nice little treat. Or it's something to stock up on if you travel a lot. We will be able to travel someday soon, hopefully. So it's something where you could, take this and work. This would have been something that I would have enjoyed to take to the dog show, because I could do, sitting in the booth. It's not like I can do breakout oil painting or whatever. That's not something I want to be carrying around with dogs and, all that. But this is something, that would have been really easy to get out to kind of just sit and play with. And still be creative, but be able to stop and answer questions or, what have you, much easier with something like this. Okay, so I think our drawing is almost in here. I guess I'm kind of losing my... Coming down here, we're going to put some other colors in here to make it a little bit more kind of fun. Okay, so we've got our truck, and we've got it outlined so it's easier for you guys to see. And hopefully it looks like the focus is actually pretty good with the camera. It's just my iPad. All right. We don't want let's outline the hill. I think that would look nice. I don't want to outline the clouds though. And let's start working on some kind of bushes in the hill here. Let's see what the time is that we're at. Okay. Quick drink. Throat starts getting scratchy. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of bring some trees and foliage down the hill here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want that illusion of there's some kind of trees and things there. That it's not just kind of this bare hill landscape. And I'll use a couple other colors and kind of maybe underline some. Okay. Over here, this can get a little bit more. It's further away, so it's going to be more covered, right? And somehow I did not bring this all the way down. That's very strange. Okay. Oh, forgot our trim. Great googly moogly, almost missed the chrome. All right. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Grab another one of these. Oh, that's nice. That's darker. So let's kind of put that back there. But it's a nice olive, so that'll look well. See how nicely that kind of blends that background in. Just kind of smoothing that mountain out. Okay. 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 We're going to kind of leave that as is for now. Let's get some color on this car here. It's like a really faint kind of an old mint color, isn't it? But I think we're going to work with just some kind of natural tones instead. We've got this kind of a burnt sienna color where the rust is. Wait just a second. I'm going to put just a touch in there. It's really grayer than that, but we're just going to kind of put some in there. Okay. Again, kind of where our rust is. I'm kind of scribbling, using kind of just scribbling just to kind of get the little bit of color. And again, this does not have to look just like it. We're just kind of trying to give that impression of the picture, because we're working on a little postcard here, right? Just trying to give it some color and some fun and brightness. Okay. Make that darker back there so we kind of have this guy's a rust bucket in it. There. Now with this, you really want to curve that to kind of give that illusion of, so you understand that it's kind of round, give the viewer the illusion. See where the rain's just kind of rolled off this for years and rusted it. Okay, there's more rust up here. There's actually red paint, like maybe this was painted red at one time. Maybe then green at one time, or they've tried to prime it with that red kind of ugly old red primer to paint it, and then it never happened. All right. Let's see, there's rust back in here, so let's hit that back in there, and then we're gonna go back over it with the black. And maybe kind of a violet or something. We'll see here. Bless you, April. Now there's some lighting in here. I'm not going to worry about that. That's a little much. Put a little bit of it in, but we don't need to have it be too much. That's starting to get a little. Okay, let's see what we got for a violet. There's a nice dark one. Let's do that to kind of enhance that. Oh, got a dark blue too, but we'll do the violet and then we'll do the black. Now I'm not doing it across the whole thing. I'm doing kind of the undershadow of the chrome with this, just to kind of help make that line without actually making the line. Okay, take that and put that up in some of these darker areas too, just so we've got a little bit more color, just so it's not boring black. That'll help make a really nice, kind of a darker dark in there. Okay. So do it in that kind of window chrome along the bottom of here. We'll come back in with the black some too. Just kind of a darker piece there. All right, now this needs some attention because this is not quite the value. The watercolor will light up some, but we want this to be darker. Okay. Okay. That, since that's our outer edge, we're not really going to worry about defining that as much. There is some kind of definition on this, though. Okay, black and sharpener. Hold on. Alright, thought I'd grabbed a sharpener. I had moved it to my computer. Alright, and sharpen very nicely too. Nice sharp point. So you can use it very much just as a drawing medium in and of itself, if you want. If you, or where you can't reach other pencils or don't have other pencils handy, these will work really nicely. Okay. There's a gray. We might use a little bit of that in a second, kind of for this chrome. Okay. I did not get that other hard line kind of here. All right, so back to this area just to kind of darken this in. We'll have some nice color kind of mixed underneath it. But just to kind of bring it across a little bit harder. I'm sorry, I'm being bad about not checking for questions. Let me see what there was. Kathy, there is a lot of difference in colored pencils. These are watercolor pencils, so that's watercolor pencils and regular traditional colored pencils are kind of like apples and kumquats. They're fruits. They are definitely not the same. So these aren't going to be as bright and shiny and beautiful big color right out of the pencil itself, because these are designed to be wetted, right? There's gum arabic and stuff in it. So as color, these don't have that pop initially as a dry pencil. The pop is where you wet them down, that you're getting that color, because they're meant to function as an aqua medium, not as just a true standalone only drawing medium. So that's where kind of the beauty of watercolor pencils is going to be. That's what that's giving you. It's the bang for the buck in the kind of the wet medium itself. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, and you'll be able to see that in a few minutes. We'll wet this down in a couple minutes. Okay, let me get this kind of line going here. Okay, hold on. I got a message from Katie. Somebody's asked what sharpener works best. And about erasing. You can erase. We've erased as we've gone. Obviously, the darker you draw on with this, the harder it's going to be to erase. But that's why I do the underdrawing really lightly, right? And then you can go from there with the heavier kind of drawing once you've got that in where you know where your colors are going to go, and then you can start adding the color darker. All right. The eraser I'm using is just a white vinyl stick eraser, so it's any eraser should work. The Vanish eraser, the Marie's 3B erasers or 4B erasers that are so great, those will work with this. But again, if you're drawing really hard on them, you may have problems getting that color lifted completely. Now that being said, you could take a stiffer watercolor brush and you could always wet it and kind of wipe the color out as it becomes liquid. So there's ways to lift it wet that you might not have the ability to do dry. It's experimenting, just like we do color charts and we do other stuff. It's experimenting with it. I'm going to put a little bit of kind of blue rimming here for the sky, kind of the shine from the chrome. And I do want some color of some sort on. There's not there, but we're going to pretend this is chromier than it really is. Let's want some sort of color for the car itself, but I'm not keen on that green, and we don't have a really minty green. We could always do a light wash. Let's make it gray. The gray is really nice in this. Let's make it so that it's kind of that old gray. I'm only going to put it in some spots because it's obviously not everywhere. And again, on this part, I'm going to follow the contour of that hood to color it. Hi, April. April saying hi to everybody. Okay. Okay. So where are we at time-wise here, folks? Oh, sharpener, and I forgot sharpeners. I'm just using the inexpensive little Coom 2-hole sharpeners. So I've got because the blades are always super great on these. They're steel, they could work for forever. I've had this pencil sharpener for probably 5 years. It still cuts nice and sharp. You can use any sharpener. Any sharpener that works with regular colored pencils works perfectly with this, okay? Okay. So let's go ahead and see kind of what we've got with this. We can always add some colors on later on because we're starting to run out of time and we want to make sure that we get time in for this. Here. Good for the scratchy throat. All right. So let's start with the sky. All right. I'm going to turn this to the side just because it's easier for me to kind of bring this down. Okay, see, nice. You can really see that light up with blue and bringing it right to the base of that mountain. I don't want to get it too close to my other color because that'll pick it up. So I'm kind of, you can leave it so you can see some of the pencil marks if you like that. I'm kind of rubbing it together to make kind of a nice, a little bit more even wash, so it gets kind of rid of that granular look of the pencils itself. Okay, so there we go with our first kind of wash from there. So next we're going to bring it along here. I'm going to use the same little brush for this whole thing. It works perfect. Okay, I pick up the color. I can kind of move it around where it's a little heavier to lighter if I want. I'm going to leave that kind of harder line on the top cloud. I really like that. Obviously, the more, with watercolor pencils, the more water you add, the thinner you're going to make that wash. So if you want it to be bolder and brighter, use it more of a dry brush. Okay. So you can see that was it's very dry and dull right there. When we start putting the water on it is when that color really picks up and it's nice, really nice and pretty. Okay. Pick that up. And like I said, you could use them wet and wet. I'm going to do this just to show you. I would never do this because this gives me a stroke. But see how you can put that on that wet surface and how nice and wet that makes it? Yes, and if somebody made the comment of less wax in the watercolor pencils, there's just going to be that binder of the gum arabic in it. It's going to be ground a little differently so that it's got a smooth consistency with the application. So you're not going to find, you know, as kind of the granulated stuff as you would normally. Okay, now see how much brighter that was? That made a nice little pop there. Okay. All right, so there we go. Let's hit our inside of that car so we can kind of see what that's like. I'm going to do that with a much drier brush. All I'm doing, and I'll grab a paper towel. I usually use my hand because it's easier for me to tell what's coming off. In fact, I'll do that and blot my hand. There's that little window of darkness. Okay, and remember we've used a little violet, we've used a little bit of black in here, and we did both of them pretty light. So we're gonna come along in here and get this whole area inside the car. That's kind of that inside of the interior. I'm doing it very dry because I don't want to lift anything that's nearby. Here I'm doing a little bit wetter because it's fine. This is a much larger area. I can kind of move the pigment around if I want. And then I'm going to do drier along this edge. Okay. Okay, so we're using the Cezanne Professional Watercolor pencils. And this is just the brush that comes with their set. It's a number 4 round. So just a little basic gold Taklon brush. You can use any watercolor brush with this. It's not set specific, but it's just I wanted to use only what comes with the set so you would know kind of for if you're interested in it, you know, I'm getting the exact same results you would get from opening this box and using it yourself. Okay. So I'm going to start working on kind of the body of the car and then come back in and dry brush in the trim and stuff around it. Okay. Remember we put a little bit of gray on. I just wanted just a light color. And do that first. Then I'm going to work into kind of those rusted areas. Probably what I'll do with this is let this dry and then go back in and use that drier kind of drawn in rust. I really like how that looked so that I've got the kind of area that got wet behind it, and then I've got dry drawn on rust as well for a little bit of a difference in texture because I think that that would look really nice for the finished artwork. And I just saw that I picked up a little bit of that kind of yellow color that I had underneath for my drawing, so I'm smoothing that out. You can see where I drew very lightly with kind of that rust color. There's our gray. A little bit of that rust being picked up. And with this, you may, you know, it takes a little while, practice a little bit, do some color swatching, get used to learning to pick up that pigment with the brush, because there may be areas you want to pick up pigment and areas that you don't. So learning kind of as you wet it, how that works is going to be kind of the trick. Very slight learning curve with watercolor pencils. Okay, so kind of wetting that line along that chrome trim. Gonna rinse that color out, really dry, blot it, and I'm gonna pick up that blue from the sky, the reflection in the trim, blotting it again. Remember I did the under part of the shadow in the violet in the black. I like that, that pops really nice. Blotting the color out again. Doing kind of our shadowy parts. Okay, hold on. I think Katie's got a question. A spray fixative before you send it through the mail. That's a good question. You don't have to do that. I think I would. You could either use just like a workable fixative, like Krylon or something like that, if you've got any workable fixative for drawing, or even an MSA fixative like our friend Liquitex's Soluvar that we love. But again, it's just like spraying watercolors themselves. You have to do very light coats, a couple very light coats so that you don't saturate it and it doesn't re-wet, right? Yes. April is very against overspraying, apparently. So do that and then it will be fine for going through the mail. Now you don't have to, because mail typically doesn't get wet, but just, you know, and even if you do that, you have to remember that, you know, there's you know, they're going to stamp the stamp and, you know, things get dirty going through the mail. Everybody knows you don't get postcards unless they're, you know, the photo ones with the slick finished that are going to be in pristine condition. But it's just more to, you know, to give a friend something bright and sunny. But that's definitely, if you've got the fixative, go ahead and do that and let it dry well before you put it in the mail. Okay, see how that chrome picked up that blue color. I outlined that dark line so you can kind of see that outer edge. Okay, so let's come over here. I'm going around the outside of this. You can really see. Yeah, quick that grabs and picks up that color, that shadow. But I've got multiple, you know, I've got the rust color, I've got the violet in there. So that outline becomes really super easy to see. Hit that little bit of blue, then I'm going to blot it to get rid of the excess water. Always be cognizant, because you get a little bit of water on your ferrule, that can roll down into it and really overwet something. So kind of always keep an eye on that. Okay, so let's outline this side so you guys can see that difference. Did it very faint coming down there. So I could go back and make that darker if I wanted. And come right outline this really quick. Picked up a little eraser piece. There we go. Okay, I'm picking up that. All right. Just working nice and slow, really blotting that brush, since this is a very delicate area, so we don't overwash anything. Okay, we're gonna really see this light up there for the inside. With dry brushing, you're also not putting down as much water, so that when you go to move something next to it, it's not going to pick up, okay? It's just a very good way of controlling what your brush is doing without overdoing it. But the beauty of watercolor pencils is you can always go back and add more later after it dries if you get it too thin and it's hard to see, right? So it's very, very forgiving. Okay. Let's get this kind of rust color in here. I don't know if you guys can hear the snoring dog, but she's snoring. Okay. There's a little plug that's kind of hanging out of the thing. Looks like Katie's got another question. Compared to ink tints, this is going to be different because this is watercolor. Ink tints is actually ink sticks that once the sticks are dry, they're pretty much water resistant to waterproof, right? So it's a different thing. That's why that's called ink tints, is because it's got that, you know, thickness in the you know, the really deep brilliance of the ink. Now, that being said too, you can really overwork ink tints really easy if you're not, especially if you're very heavy-handed. So a little bit of color goes a long way with those. So and that's not something that's easy to travel with, because they're sticks that are very easy to break, unless you've got the pencil versions of those. So so it's just a different thing. It's a different base of material, right? Because this is watercolor, so it's just you know, still net fruit, not the apples and kumquats, but it's still you know, a similar type of product, which is going to, I would think the biggest thing I would say is that it is way more expensive. This is very cost efficient. You know, for what you get with these, the price is fantastic. So it's a very pocket friendly deal, especially because how many of us really work in watercolor pencils for, you know, I have them, I use them for enjoyment, but I don't. It's not something that I break out to do consistently serious art. Not that people don't do it, but just, you know, I wouldn't, knowing that for me personally, I wouldn't buy something that's more expensive like the Inktense, because there's just not the, I'm not going to get the mileage out of it, I guess is a good way of putting it. All right, so now let's do the grill real quick here, and then we'll do the background. Can I apply more color over the part that I've already activated with water? I actually did that in the sky, Katie. Katie asked if I could go over it where it's already been activated. We'll work a little on that when we get to the background, because we might add a little bit more as we go. But it worked very well. It kind of scribbled some on. I've got a dog hair on here. That's the other thing about animals in the studio. They'll always know. They can always do DNA testing someday down the road to know what the actual error was that something was done in here. Okay, so just gonna kind of go along here with a dry brush. Let's kind of pick this up. Remember, we put a little bit of violet in there, we put a little bit of black, we got all sorts of stuff going. April's throwing food at us. Just kind of hitting it across here. I don't want to overwhelm it, but I know I had some different colors and some shadows in here. Okay. Can see a little bit more color. I'm going to put a little bit of rust on there. Okay. All right. So that I would probably go back in and work on that again with a little bit darker. The violet didn't look as good as I kind of thought it might. It's not bad. It's just, I think I would want to even that out more. I really like, this falls away really nicely, so I'd probably go in and work on that grill a little bit more. Let's do the green background, and then we'll see about, oh, that's a nice brighten. Okay, see how those colors are mixing? I used the olive kind of color green, and then the dark, or the lighter green. Go on there, kind of pick up that black that's on that background. And see, I'm working this very lightly because I would like to kind of keep some of the pencil scribble in there that I did. I kind of liked, just so I can see, because I think I'm going to put a little bit more on top of that. But you can see the vast difference between those two. It's very bright by comparison. If people are having problems with the resolution, it actually is Facebook, because I can see the camera and it's in really great focus, but my iPad is kind of going in and out, so it's definitely, that's the issue, not the camera today, guys. Okay, this is kind of where more of our yellow is in here, kind of that golden ochre color. Okay, so now that that's white, I'm going to go back on it with a little bit of kind of this green so you can see. So see, I can go back in and really do some texture. These postcards actually dry pretty nice and quick, so it's not wanting to pick up a lot because I did dry brush on it, but you can see that some of the spots is kind of blooming. So I'm going to take that and lift that color a little, and then I can move that around the paper. A little bit more. And I kind of like this lighter area over here, so I'm going to keep that. Okay. All right. So let's have a little, since we're still a little, we got just a minute. Let's put a little bit more of this rust on here. And you know what? We can dip these in water. So I've got a little cup of water and I'm dipping it to kind of wet it to see what will happen for making this rust a little kind of chunkier here. And that actually does a nice job of kind of picking that up. It's a little thick on this paper because the paper's still a little bit damp from working, but I can go back and soften that. But it actually gives a nice kind of illusion of that rust. Looks like Katie has another question. Hold on, let me check. It's Katie said several people have mentioned hairspray as an idea and how that's not always a good idea. Hairspray is incredibly flammable. A lot of times, much more so even than some of the art products. So, and it can have oils and stuff in it to kind of counterbalance what it's doing to your hair. So those are going to, that's designed to be set on top and then washed right out, right? So if you're putting this on this and then it's actually soaking into this paper, especially if you're wanting to do this where you can sell these or something later, you're going to get a lot of damage that could occur with that. It's really not a good idea to use that. I just wouldn't. I mean, it's just not good for fine art or any art. Just it could cause a lot of problems. So I would really back in the old days. I know we all used Aquanet. I used it too on stuff in a pinch, but it's not archival at all, and it's going to damage stuff. I know for a fact that none of the pieces that I have that I used that on survived over the years. So. Just a friendly word to the wise. See how nice that is for kind of adding some additional rust? That's working out pretty well. No, I did not push the gray down very hard. I'm going to take a little bit darker brown to kind of... I know we're almost out of time. If anybody's got any last questions, go ahead and fire those in. Again, we're going to pick somebody's name from the group here of comments. And we will send them this little, or I will send them this little pack of kind of the extra stuff that I had. So I had another full pack of the watercolor pencils in the set. So they will get a goodie because it's time to give a nice little care package. Okay, I'm gonna wet that real quick and just soften a couple of these places. Get your last questions in if you guys have them. Oh yeah, there we go. See, that's nice. That kind of goes back over that tacky paper and leaves a little thicker amount down. Dip that brush again, but I'm blotting the excess out. Yeah, that's nice. That puts just enough right there on that damp paper. So you could actually even dampen your paper, let it pretty much dry close, and get a little bit more vibrancy out of it without it getting kind of too gluey or out of control. This is one of those things when we talk about testing your materials. Definitely something to test rather just than while you're actually working on a piece. you know, try some things and see. And every paper reacts differently to stuff, right? Because textures are going to be different on different brands. So just keep that in mind as well. Always kind of practice with what you're going to use things on. All right. So this is fun. Great little set. Pretty colors. They sharpen beautifully, nice and crisp. When you wet them down and put them on the paper, a lot of them turn into mushy, gross crayons. These did not, so I'm really impressed with that. I think the only thing we didn't look at was, can you wet the pencil, you know, and pull color off of it? So let's try that. Oh wow, that really pulls it off fast. I noticed a mistake that where it kind of had bled. So I'm going to fix that. Oh yeah, and look at how nice and dark and vibrant that is. To do with that. Woo! That's almost too much. So look at how that's nice. So very easy. So that might be the way that I would probably take this and go into some of these areas that I want a little bit darker, because I'm just actually using it as a paint itself. Picks up really easy. See, look at how nice that is. So I'd probably go back into this grill and fix it doing that. But fun. See, made a nice little artwork. I think there's one more question from Katie. Let's find out. And then we've got our winners. Oh, can I lift some color? Yes. Let's see. Sorry. I can hear kids playing in the park and the dogs are going nuts. The biggest, okay, so lifting, they're being bad, right, April? All right, so lifting watercolor, you really have to wet it, which apparently April thinks is hilarious. Let's do it here, okay? Because I can fix it with a scrubber or something. With this type of a brush, it's harder to lift. It's good to lift with something like we did a short handle brush, one of our second episodes here that we've been home. There is a type of brush called a scrubber. Over here. Luckily, we're right by where I do watercolor. See how this is a stiffer bristle? You can actually hear it. That's better for lifting because you can wet and pull off. The biggest problem is, though, that works really well on cotton paper. Cotton paper is much more durable. The way that it's made, most any paper that you're going to get in postcards is going to be a paper pulp itself, unless you make your own custom postcards. So it's a lot harder to scrub because that will tear the fiber because of how paper pulp fiber's made. But we can let's put some of that gray down. Okay, I'm going to do this so you can see it. And let's wet it and put it down. Okay, so see, that's there. So if you get a color on that you don't like, then that you want to pull up, with this brush, you're going to wet it. You're going to blot that brush out with a paper towel, okay? And then go back and start picking that color up. You can sometimes use the paper towel and blot, and see how that gets a lot of it up. You don't want to scrub though. I'm just wetting it gently, blotting that paper towel, and pulling and letting it absorb, and pulling and letting it absorb. Works a little easier with a natural hair brush because they're a little bit more absorbent. But see how that's pretty much pulled most of that color up that was right there? Someone asked if April sleeps through the night. She does, because she gets a blanket over her pen. But she has to have a peanut butter filled pretzel like the dog does. The dog goes in the cage and gets the pretzel. April demands a pretzel. So, and then she sits on a little perch across from the dog's cage where she can see the dog under the blanket and has her pretzel with the dog. That's their good night thing. She's a corker. All right. So this is the Cezanne Professional Watercolor Pencil Set. You can just get the pencils only with that brush on their own, but it's a great travel set. They make 2 travel sets. I don't remember what's in the other one, but this is just the pencil set that we've been playing with, the tin of postcards. It's got the brush, and again that crystal seal bag. If you would want to, and I'll show you real quick. And it's not it's a very inexpensive item. So I mean, you're essentially, with the prices, I think you're getting it way cheaper than you'd get all the things together with the bag free. The bag's free. And this is still wet, so I'm going to put it in, well, I'll put this one in. Okay, so the pear goes right in. You put it in this way. See how nicely that fits in there? It's nice and clear. You pull this tab up on the back, and you can lift them back up. But see how that seals that? It's archival, it's acid free, so I can keep this card nice and clean in here. People can handle it if they're interested in looking at it. It's not going to damage the card. And then when somebody wants to buy it as an actual little artwork, it's in there and all ready to go for them, because it's in that bag. So it's a handy little thing, actually, to have around, because you never know when you're going to do something that you really like. And, you know, keeping it protected is a big thing. So that's what those little bags are for. So it's handy. I'm not really going through the mail, obviously, but it's for protection. It's great. And the dog is snoring. Okay. So our winners, let me pull those up for you guys. Let's go here. All right. So it was the last week that we were doing the giving thanks to everybody that's kind of on the front lines, taking care of people, making sure that there's supplies being delivered to stores, etc. So that was the theme. It was the giving thanks to kind of the people that take care of us through crises like what we're dealing with now. So, we've got a first, second, and third place. They are e-gift cards. The third place is a $100 e-gift card. It goes to Martin. I'm going to butcher this. And Martin, I'm sorry. I'm guessing it's Karazoff in Miami, Florida. And this is absolutely gorgeous. Just a beautiful painting. The reflection, just it tells the story of, I'm sure, how people feel with, you know, dealing with this. So that is our third place winner of a $100 e-gift card. Hopefully you guys can see that and the glare is not too bad. Let me see if I can move this. All right. Next is second place is a $250 e-gift card from and it's Heather Olson of Harriman, Utah. Beautiful brushwork. Very expressionistic, gestural, very nice. Just captures kind of that moment of they're either gloving up or gloving down, you know, ready to go in and take care of people. That's the $250 e-gift card. And first place is, let's see, read the name first. $500 e-gift card. It's Kristen Beltler of Washington, Utah. And this is amazing. Looks very much like I would expect somebody who's sick. This is what they would see. A friendly face that's very kind and taking care of them. So, beautiful work. And those are our winners for this week. Now, next week's challenge is Smush Art. We are going to, she'll be putting up the information so that you guys know, what's going down with that and what's expected of you. Let me grab this and we'll flip this around. All right, so it's Smush Art, and maybe this Thursday, since that seems like something like, what the heck is Smush Art? We're not smashing canvases together and dancing or anything like that. I mean, although that doesn't sound like the worst time at all, it's taking either a sketchbook, a watercolor book, just a piece of paper, a piece of canvas that's not stretched. Taking it, you're going to decide where kind of the middle central line is, and you're going to decorate it in some fashion and then smush it together and pull it apart. And kind of think of the Rorschach ink blots, right? You know, what does this look like? A butterfly. What does this look like? That kind of thing, but you're using color, you're using paint. Consider flexible paints like acrylics are good for that. Even watercolors if you do it quickly, but remember they're going to absorb, so you might not get the same kind of look both sides, okay? Because it's a lot of the smush art's kind of about kind of that cool quality that you get, the balance that you get out of something that's very I don't know, unpredictable is the good word. So so that will be the challenge for next week. And that's something everybody can do, and that's something you can get the kids involved in and everything. So enter your best smush art, and we'll play a little bit with it Thursday. And I will warn you, I've seen it done, yet I've never done it myself. And probably a lot of you have it, so we'll play along and do it together. I'll use a couple different things. I had to look to see what I had in the house for this, because this was something that I found out right before you guys found out. But I've got some different things that I'll break out and we'll use for it. So smush art it is for Thursday. So 5:30 p.m. this week, 2 days from now, we'll play with smush art. So, all right. And remember, one of you lucky guys is going to get the little prize pack and the postcard that we did today. So you have an original piece of Jerry's life art. Okay. And again, the items, go to the Jerry's Artorama.com page. Type in the search box, the keyword JL149. If you're interested in the pencils or the little kit or whatever, it would make a great gift for friends that are artistic, or even just that like to have fun. They're kind of crafty. That, this is a cool time to be sending people fun mail. So, all right, you guys take care, okay? And we will see you Thursday. And don't forget that I'm filming Sundays as well live, so you can catch me there. See ya. Bye.